Welcome to Sports Music and Other Ish. I'm your co-host Vic.
I'm your co-host Big John, aka the Black Jerry Maguire.
Man, a lot of stuff going on in
Yeah,
society right now. A lot of different hot topics, bro.
yeah, man. It's been a crazy uh, couple of weeks, actually. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
reaching this peak this past week with with the with the Blake situation and the NBA protests is just been crazy, man. I mean, I don't even know how much more can happen in 2012, and then uh, Chadwick Boseman dying. Like, man, like it's been crazy, man.
It's crazy, man. I mean, 2020 is wild, man. Like, it makes you just wonder: is this how life is going to be every year? Like, I mean, is it just going to start getting crazy and crazier as the years pass? Like, because when 2021 come around, it's not like all this crazy shit just gonna stop. Don't seem like.
No, I mean, because there's no. I don't see a solution that's gonna happen quickly. Everything, even with COVID, everything is gonna have to happen over time. You know what I mean? And I think the worst is yet to come as far as the COVID thing goes. Um, but some of this, and with this whole, with the police and the shootings and all this other stuff, hopefully with the attention that is getting right now, um, hopefully it'll start to kind of tailor down a little bit. But every time I think it's going to tailor down, I mean, we went George Floyd. We had the guy that was running. He got shot. I know it wasn't by the cops, but the cops covered that shit up. Um, obviously we had Breonna Taylor. We also had who was after the guy? It was another one before Mr. Blake. Well, the good thing is,
Um, yeah, that one. I cannot think of the name of that one, but yeah, it's so many, man. It's just so many you kind of forget. And I read one that just happened the other day in San Antonio that ain't haven't hit the news.
I heard about that one too.
A veteran who the law enforcement was called because he had suicidal tendencies, and then they came in, they talked to him. Supposedly, from what I read, they talked to him, and then he reached for a gun and they killed him. Uh, and it's just a lot, man. And I don't think what people don't understand, especially with the Jeff Blake thing, because every time you kill somebody, someone's killed, they always bring out the negative stuff about them. I think the issue is that what people don't understand is as a black person in America, like it's not necessarily the fact that you know was it was it justified, was it not justified. That's a big part of it. But a lot of the outrage just comes from the sheer fact of like we keep seeing the same thing over and over,
Yeah,
and then you'll see white guys put in these same predicaments. I watched a video the other day where this white dude jumped out his truck with a knife, jabbed it at the police. The police fell, jumped up, ran off with his gun, draw, came back, and the dude left. And like he didn't get killed. And so you see these images in your mind, and these events keep happening. And what it does is it brings back what to me, which is PTSD, right? Like when you've been through these situations, when you've been in situations where police is drawn on you, which I have. I was 13 when a gun was first drawn on me by police. So, and then multiple times I've been pulled over and chastised and by police officers. Like these things happen, like it brings up these images and it brings up this outrage, and then you just get tired. So it may not necessarily be that one event that's setting people off. It's the whole totality of it. It's you thinking about the times it happened to you and being like, man, that happened to me, or what I'm saying, like, or that could have been me, type of thing. And then you think about your children, and you think about all these other things, and it just builds up a frustration where you get frustrated about it. And we're in a society now that we get everything in real time, and so at times we don't allow for it to play out. Like you get frustrated, you get pissed off, and you like, bam, you know what I'm saying? And I think with some people I was talking to, they were saying like it's not the fact that we think Blake was innocent in the whole situation. It's just the fact that, do we have to kill people every situation? Like, does it have to be a murder? Does it have to be 7 shots? Is there any way that situation could have de-escalated? Like, for instance, he leaves, we have your car, we have your license plate, like we can come pick you up, like you ain't going nowhere, right? Can we wait till this thing cooled off and then go pick him up? Like, and that might be a far stretch for officers to do, because if you let one person do it, then you're starting to let everybody do it. And I understand that, but is there some medium that we can come to where we're not seeing people just gunned down, and in front of their kids? And then on the flip side of that is, at the same time, man, like, I was watching a video when Farrakhan said he was down south and he was driving in his car, and I'm gonna paraphrase some of it, but he said he got pulled over and the officer was, basically like, nigga, where you going? And Farrakhan was like, sir, I'm going over here. And everything was sir this, sir that. And he was just basically saying, man, when you behind enemy lines, like, you don't give them an opportunity to kill you. Like, you know what I'm saying? You have to comply in order to make it home. Like, fight that battle another day, but don't give somebody an opportunity to kill you that may want to kill you. And that was what Farrakhan was saying in that moment. Not saying all police officers want to kill everybody, but just in that moment, that's what he was saying. And it took me back to the time when we was working at Walmart, and you remember we wore them we was wearing sweatpants, and we got rolled up by the CSM, and we went to talk to Terry. And I never forget, Terry said, why would you give somebody an opportunity to write you up that don't like you? Like, why would you put yourself in that situation? You know this person don't like you. Why would you give them the opportunity to write you up? And that just kind of, flips back to the whole thing. Like, you can get stopped and pulled over and you can comply. You can do it in a respectful manner, and it ain't a weakness. I don't see it as a weakness. And I know sometimes ego come into place. Somebody might say something to you that's disrespectful. Like when I got pulled over once, and I had a Lincoln Continental. The dude was like, how can you afford this car? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's disrespectful as shit. Like, when you pulled over a white guy, I bet you didn't ask him how he could afford that car. Like, it's disrespectful. And I could have went left. I just kind of laughed it off and was like, I got a job. Like, same way you afford your car. And that could have went left. But it's just being able to understand that, man, you're not gonna win in that situation unless this is where you saying, okay, you cool with Don at this point. Like, that's kind of where it comes. Like, if you're gonna resist, you got to be able to say that, I'm cool with Don at this point. You know what I mean? And that, I know we don't want to hear that. Some people don't want to hear that, but that's just the truth of the matter.
My thing is, man, I've been in some of those same situations. I've been on the ground with guns drawn on me, on the cop car, hands on the cop car, in the back of the fucking cop car for no apparent reason. So it pulled over, held up on side of the road, and had my car searched, and all that shit. So I, just because it's me and the white person, riding together, they want to know why we together. We on I-10, which is a cocaine pipeline. Why y'all going on I-10? Why y'all coming home? Why y'all going and coming home? You know what I'm saying? We going to a basketball game. But the thing is, man, when I looked at that video, and I you told me there was another part, I hadn't seen that yet. But when I looked at it, all I kept asking is why? Why? On both sides. Why on the police side? Why on Mr. Blake's side? Like you said, why give him an opportunity? If I know the climate of what's going on, I get that, people in the neighborhoods are don't like the cops or trained to I'm not, some people, I'm not gonna say hate the cops, but have a negative connotation of the police. So if you know that, then you have to move your needle a little bit. Like, I move my needle according to who I'm talking to. And that's not even for them, that's for me. Because I don't want to overreact to any situations. Now, was it just to shoot somebody 7 times? No, absolutely not. That situation could have been handled a lot better. I don't know. I didn't see the first part of the video where you said it was wrestling or tussling or whatever they were doing. So obviously, they guess they couldn't get the handcuffs on them, whatever. But like you say, man.
I just think that I don't know if they tried to do handcuffs. I just know they shot the taser.
And the question to me is, what level is your taser on? Shit, you didn't get in the first time with Taser, shoot that mother, put it to the max and hit him. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they're probably going to get off just based on that because they didn't, according to the other part of the video, they didn't go to the most lethal force first. So they're probably going to get off, you know, and I do feel like there might be some type of civil action after the fact. But it's just sad, man. I sad on both parts, man, because I still right now, like I said, it's not justified, it's none of that. But I also wonder what was going through his mind at the time in this climate that we in. Like you say, we behind enemy lines. As long as you know that, you got to prepare yourself. Yeah, it's like bringing a knife to a gunfight. You know, it's in some aspect. You know, it's just sad. You know, I think though. I want to kind of shift it a little bit here, talk about the NBA protests for the playoffs. They got a lot of scrutiny. Everybody kind of made fun of about that situation, but they hit the reset button. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, oh, fuck, you think we playing? Okay, fuck it, let's stop. Now, the way they did it was abrupt, and then from what I understand from inside sources, that they already have a plan in place. That kind of had like we'll have a press conference and all this other stuff, but then the Bucks just said, "Fuck it, we're not going there," and they didn't tell nobody else. You know what I'm saying? So that was a little shaky, but they did. At the end of the day, they got their owner to get the what was his name? The chief legislator there. He got him on the phone. They pushing for an emergency legislative session in Milwaukee to pass the bill on gun reform. I mean, not gun reform, police reform. You know, my thing is, what exactly does police reform look like? Because those are some of the things we got to start asking ourselves when we come into the table with these things. Okay, this is what we want. We want this, but what does police reform look like for us? And what is the reality of police reform look like to you? So we can all come to an agreement, and we can really get down to the crux of the whole matter, so we can get this thing moving. You know, I think a lot of times we look at something and say, "Oh man, that's stupid. Why would they just protest one game?" You know, I thought they should have canceled the whole season too. But I also, the other part of me is I want to have a platform, and I think them on their platform every day, every day basically, because it's multiple teams, so they're gonna play every day. I think that would be a great situation for them to continue to move the needle. And now you see not only the NBA, MLB, WNBA. Shit, I think it was a soccer game, a tennis player forfeited their match. Like, so it's not like they did this and got nothing out of it. Everybody, the people who it's going to affect the most, the people who didn't like it the most, they're going to clown that shit and make it seem like a laughable situation. But in reality, they got their attention. I saw in Tennessee where they passed some law about body cams and some stuff like that. The Tennessee Titans are now doing something as a team to get that shit reversed. You know, so they started the conversation. Kudos to them. You know, and then you got them reaching out to, you got other people reaching in. You're talking to Obama. They're trying to figure this shit out. And it, like I say, man, it's not their responsibility alone. It's all our responsibilities. But this is a good starting point. And if like everybody talked about how LeBron was mad because he wasn't the one to shut it down. Well, the reason that he was mad and Chris Paul was mad and all these other guys, Russell Westbrook, all of them was upset was because they already had a plan in place. You know what I mean? They had a plan in place to do a press conference, the whole 9 yards. Had things they were asking for, and one of them was, we need more help from ownership. If we can't get the support from ownership, then this is a moot point, and we will shut the operation down. Even though we worked so hard to get to the bubble, we will shut it down. So I thought that was a big deal, man. And I think they just hit the reset button. And I think every now and again, just like on your old Nintendo, you got to hit that reset button. You know what I mean? You got to hit the reset button because everything's going along, and then oh man, we got a spike. Hit that reset button and get at least back up to the level that we were to have that conversation. Though, like I said, that was some comments from, I guess it was Donald Trump's son-in-law or something like that. I think he said he was going to reach out to LeBron and talk about it. I don't know what that conversation is worth, but you know what? Hey, have that conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
You got them where they want to talk. That means a color. That means they see you and they understand your power.
Yeah.
To me. So at the end of the day, talk to them. You may not get nowhere, but at least you know where you stand. They know where you stand, and then y'all can move accordingly.
Yeah. I think as far as the boycott goes, man, like I've been saying this forever. The only way you get change in this country is two ways: economically or through violence. Yeah. That's the only way it's ever happened. You think about how did America become economically rich? Through slavery. They enslaved free people and made them do labor. That's how they got economically rich. How did America gain its independence? They didn't sit down at no table and discuss that out. They didn't march. They had a war. How did the slaves become free? Through a war, through violence. How did black people gain their voting rights? Through being beat on national TV, where it was shown across the world that shamed America into giving them their rights. Right? Like, so everything that from change comes from violence or come from economic. Basketball players knew if we stop, it's gonna hurt people's pockets. It's gonna hurt some of ours, but it's gonna hurt the owner's pockets worse. So what the owners do? They jumped on a phone call. Right? What they do after that phone call? They start reaching out to legislators and district attorneys and all this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? They start using their power, because if I'm donating, if I'm an owner, I'm donating my money to somebody. I'm giving my money to some campaign. I'm 99% sure they're donors to somebody, right? So they have the ear of certain people in power that they can call and contact and be like, hey, this is hurting our money. And if I don't make X amount of millions, I can't donate X amount of millions to your campaign. So we need to do something, right? Yeah. And it's a sad that as a country and as a people, we can't just see that something is not right and fix it, right? Mm-hmm. Because even Donald Trump said there was issues with law enforcement policies. That's why he went through and he did an executive order and he changed some stuff. So we all in agreement that certain policies need to be changed. Right. Certain training need to be implemented. Things need to be fixed, right? So in that case, we all have a common knowledge that something's not right, but it's how you get there. And so economically, that's what NBA players decided to do. And people can say that, oh, it wasn't worth nothing. They did do something. So now you got all these NBA arenas that's open up now as polling sites. So when they was had voter suppression in Atlanta, where they was trying to have these, and this is the thing about voter suppression, people are so dumb that they don't read anything, they don't research anything. You just, oh man, anybody can vote, all you need is an ID. No, that's not what voter suppression is all about. Right. Voter suppression is that in your local area, we're gonna have it at this one small building where all these people show out and they sit up there, they're waiting 12 hours just to vote. Mm-hmm. Versus going on the other side of town, you got 4 or 5 different places where you waiting 10 to 15 minutes to vote versus 2 to 3 hours on this side.
Absolutely.
So people don't research. People just read, just say shit, and I've gotten to the point where I got fed up with so much just dumbness in our country. Like, people don't read. People don't try to understand. All they do is just talk. They just get on these social media sites and just talk, and they don't understand half the shit they talking about.
Yeah, everybody want a voice, but they ain't really saying shit.
No, like they're not. Like, it's crazy. We just want to criticize instead of saying, you know what? Let me look at this from a different viewpoint. Let me look at it from my standpoint and then let me look at it from their standpoint, and let's see if we can get some common ground where I can kind of understand what this person is talking about.
Right.
Anytime I have a conversation with somebody, like that's how I approach it. Like, let me see if I can understand, you know, what this is about before I just criticize what they're saying and doing. So I think what the NBA did, I think it was big. Like, I'm personally, from my own standpoint, I'm glad they're coming back because I was enjoying the games. But I
Yeah.
understand having to stop. Like, man, at some point, man, like Paul George is saying, like he went through that little bout of depression. Like, man, that stuff is real. Like, you stuck in a bubble. You can't go. I mean, it's like being at home. Like when everybody was stuck at home and couldn't go nowhere during quarantine, people got depressed. People was going crazy. Mental health is real. Like, and then you got to go perform on this high level on national TV while still trying to get a message across and still trying to do all these things and still missing your family and whatever. Like this shit is hard. I don't care how much money you got. If
Yeah.
you look at people with the most amount of money, they're usually like a lot of them are miserable. Look at some of these superstars you see and some of these millionaires, how their kids commit suicide. They commit suicide. They own alcohol and drugs. Like, just because you have money don't mean you happy. Like, money does not equate to happiness. And people don't understand that. Like, no matter what, I don't care what amount of money you have, you are who you are, right? Like, so if I'm a black man in America, I don't give a damn how much money I have. At some point, I'm gonna come across some kind of racism. And the
Right.
thing about this whole another part is like everybody wants to scream the media is flaming racism. Let's look at that. Like, who is it flaming it to? Because if you black in America, like, you don't need the media to tell you there's racism. You got your
Yeah.
experiences that you don't went through. So ain't nobody looking at the media. I don't even watch the media much anymore. Like, I don't. So when I see a dude get shot on TV, yeah, I'm not colorblind. I see it's a white dude shot a black dude. Like, I see it.
Yeah. I see this out.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like the media don't have to flame nothing up. Like, I don't understand that point. And then at one point in time when that little kid who got killed, the 4-year-old, the neighbor walked over and shot that 4-year-old in the head. It was a black guy and a little white kid. And when you read into the story, like the family, like they were friends. Like the dude was supposedly coming over for dinner that night or something like that. But like they was friends. They always played with each other, right? But people got all outraged. Was like, where's the outrage? But like, I don't understand. Like, the dude was arrested.
Within minutes.
Yeah, he was arrested and put in jail and charged. Like, I don't understand. Like, we just make up these things that we want to be mad about and get outrageous about in the media, and then you say the media don't cover it. Well, if you know anything about the history of these killings and these shootings and these injustices, what you understand is the media wasn't covering those either until Black Twitter and people on Instagram and Black news outlets start blasting and putting it out there. And so basically, what you had was you had a media protest of sorts where people was tagging them and asking them why, and so they started covering it. So if you want stuff like that covered, won't you out at the media? People posting all the stuff on social media, and I don't see not one news channel tagged to it. They just posting it. They're not directing that at CNN or MSNBC or Fox. They just posting it. So you're not really doing anything. So we had to fight and protest to get our stuff on the news, to get it covered, and now it's being covered. Anything we ever had wanted, we had to fight and protest for it to get it. Why would this be different? So if you want that to happen, then you need to do that. And another thing too is like everybody always want to complain. Like, some dude showed a stat the other day. It was like this small amount of people, black people, are being killed versus this large amount of white people. And well, he didn't understand how the stat was all messed up. You know, the stats was messed up. I mean, the stats, it wasn't messed up. The stats were, we was looking at disproportionality than strict numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but if you even take that out of the equation, what you're telling me is just because you and your race doesn't protest about your people being killed, then we should shut up and not protest about ours.
Absolutely.
Like, any death is bad. So like it all should be looked at, it all should be investigated, it all should be protested. But us as black people, we're spiritual people. We have a connection between each and every one of us spiritually. So when something happens to one of us, we all gonna react to a certain way. Especially when you've been through the same experience and you've seen this, you know, visually you've seen this thing happen in your life. in your neighborhoods and around people you know, like you're gonna react to it.
Yeah.
It's just, man, it's just one of those things where like we don't think as a country. We don't, like, I don't know, man. It's got to the point where it's just insane.
Here's the three things that the NBA and NBA PA said they were going to do. It says the NBA and its players have agreed to immediately establish a social justice coalition with representatives from players, coaches, governors that will be focused on a broad range of issues, including increasing access to voting, prominent civic engagement, and advocating for meaningful police and criminal justice reform. So basically, it says like in every city where the league franchise owns or controls an arena property, the governors will continue to work with the local elections office to convert the facility into a voting location for a 2020 general election, allow for a safe in-person voting option for communities vulnerable to COVID. If a deadline has passed, team governors will work with local election officials to find another election-related use for the facility, including but not limited to voter registration and ballot receiving boards. The league will work with the players and our networks and partners to create and include advertising sports in each NBA playoff dedicated to promoting greater civic engagement in national and local elections and raising awareness around voter access and opportunity. That's a letter from. There's more to it. That's just the 3 points, but that's a letter straight from the NBA NBA and the NBA Players Association. So I think they're in going in the right direction. One thing I did want to discuss was the 17-year-old that unlawfully had a rifle, was in a different county. I don't know if it's a different county or different state or whatever. He wasn't where he was supposed to be.
The state.
And now, based on what we know, I think he's gonna get off. Because because he had the gun in protection, the rifle in protection. He shot it out of protection because somebody charged him. So they're gonna look at it as he may not have ever fired a weapon. So the only thing he's really wrong for is having possession of it as a youth. What are your thoughts on
that? Man, from everything I've seen, so essentially the crazy part is that he was from out of state, which was approximately like 30 minutes from where Kenosha is. He was like 30 minutes out. So I mean, out of state, yeah, but that's like from, me going from here to Austin. So then the first guy, the 2 guys that I think that were also killed was not from that area either. Like they didn't live there. I think they lived like 30 miles out as well. So it was a bunch of people that wasn't from Kenosha in Kenosha causing a bunch of drama, right? So the first video that I seen was when he shot the dude the first time. The dude chased him. He threw a plastic bag at him, which someone went online and like manipulated the picture to make it look like a Molotov cocktail when it wasn't. It was just a plastic bag. He threw the plastic bag at the guy. He chased him. They said he reached for his gun, and then that's when he shot him. He gets on the phone. He calls someone. He says, "I just killed someone." At that point, the people that come over to help the man, they say some things towards the Rittenhouse, and Rittenhouse, he takes off running. They're chasing him, and everybody that's chasing him, they don't know the concept of what's going on. They thought that he just killed somebody.
Yeah.
Basically think he's just an active shooter. So in their eyes, they're trying to stop an active shooter, and that's when you see them start chasing, and other people joining in and chasing the kid. The issue that I have is this: I don't care who you are, what you think you are. You don't chase after somebody that has an AR-15. You don't chase after somebody that has a gun and you don't have one. Like, you can't bring a skateboard to a gunfight. You just can't. And the guys that were killed and shot, maybe, from what I seen, they thought that they were doing something more heroic when they were going after an active shooter.
Yeah.
and didn't know the whole situation. But this is the problem when you're in a situation like this and you got all this chaos. So the guy trips and they start attacking him. Honest to God truth, if it's me, I'm shooting too. Like if I'm on the ground and people chasing me and they hitting me, like I'm gonna shoot. Like I gotta get out of there alive, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like if I don't, I might not make it out alive. So in that situation, I think the self-defense clause is right. The issue of it is what I had a big problem was how he got up and walked right past the police. Like that was insane to me. He had a gun over his shoulder. They just heard gunshots. They were called for gunshots. They were called for someone being shot in the head, and they just let him walk right past him and didn't stop him to anything. He was able to walk right past him, get in his car, and drive home. Like that to me is wildly insane. The other part about that is that the kid is out there with an AR-15. You have to be 18 years old. Law enforcement had interaction with this kid. Like y'all didn't check his ID. Y'all didn't think to ask nobody out there about their age limits. Y'all just gonna let this kid out here with a gun? His
Right.
mama apparently drove him out there. Why would you drive your son into a hostile environment? That's not an environment. You know what I mean? Like to watch over a gas station. Like
Yeah.
that don't make sense to me. A lot of this just don't make sense and people not thinking. So more than likely he's gonna probably plead to a lesser of having a gun, unlawfully carrying a gun, and maybe get some probation or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what all the intricacies of the laws are over there. So the DA may go after the murder charges, but I think he'll end up for sure having the unlawful carrying as a minor on that. I just think that at some point, man, people got to be humane. Like you can't be showing all these videos, making these memes of these dead people. Like these people are dead. That's somebody's child, somebody's mom, somebody's dad. But because it's funny to you and to your buddies, y'all posting this shit all over social media. Like I believe in karma, and I hope to God that karma don't come back and catch y'all boys up. All y'all that sharing these videos and making fun of that shit, because that shit's not funny. It's somebody that's dead. I don't care if he was right or wrong. At the end of the point, man, somebody dead. Lessons can be learned from everything, but that's not the way to learn a lesson. Like that shit is insane. People don't have civility anymore. People aren't humane anymore. We just make fun of all kind of shit that don't need to be made fun of. It's a tragedy. This kid is gonna be screwed up for the rest of his life. He just killed 2 people. Like you think he gonna wake up tomorrow and be okay? Hell no. Like this shit gonna mess with his head. Like talk to people. If you talk to people that's actually had to kill someone, like they don't just go home and go to sleep and everything's all right the next day. It messes you up mentally. So now this kid's gonna be mentally screwed up for the rest of his life, whether he right, wrong, or indifferent. Like people's lives are screwed up, and we too busy trying to get our points across and laughing and joking and saying we're not laughing and joking, but we really are because the whole meme is a fucking joke. Like man, people just crazy to me, man. Like we in a screwed up world. Maybe our moral compass is just too high or something.
Well, that's the problem. People don't have a moral compass, and everybody thinks it's all candy canes and lollipops. You know what I'm saying? They see killing, they see this, and everything else, and do these video games. They see it through the news. They probably got homeboys that kill people. But what they failing to realize is though those people have to deal with that every single day. And whether you dislike somebody, whether you had it in for them, once you pull that trigger and you take life out of somebody's body, that you can't tell me they don't mess with you psychologically. And if it doesn't, then you really got a problem. And I think like we had episodes talking about mental health. I think mental health for people is the biggest thing, man. I think you got a lot of weight on you daily. You got your family, you got your job, then you got your shit. And unless you know how to put those things in order and how to deal with those every single day, and figure out how to get yourself going, life is gonna be hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Life's gonna be really hard for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think he's gonna get off. You know, because I'm not justifying he killed somebody because he shouldn't have been there. First of all, but the circumstances in which he was in once he got there, yes, it was definitely self-defense, and he did what he had to do, or maybe he did what he came to do. Maybe he came to shoot people. You know, I don't know. I don't know what his parents was thinking about. Why the hell would you do that? It doesn't make any sense. Just a lot of things don't make sense right now in 2020. You know, and I don't know what it's going to look like in another 6 months. You know, once we get into 2021 and things like that, I don't know what it's going to look like, but hopefully some conversations are started. Guys with the right type of, I hate to say money, but yeah, right type of money are involved because, like you said earlier, money can change a lot. Um, you know, but I still think maybe the worst is yet to come.
Yeah, well, we ain't even hit flu season. Yeah, to kind of wrap it up, man. In closing, the last thing I want to say is, if you look at the Chadwick Boseman, I hope I said his name right. Um, his death, which happened yesterday. I think one thing we got to take out of that, man, is he passed away from colon cancer. We talked about health on this channel before. I think that, man, we got to start taking health a lot more serious. Go get your colonoscopies. I know that, you know, as men, we don't want to do that. I've had one done, um, you know, way before the age limit at which they say you're supposed to have it. You know, I had my pops died from cancer. My two uncles died from cancer. So I talked to my doctor about it, you know, and I told him, you know, essentially I just wanted to get it checked out. Like I wanted to be safe. I wanted to be sure, you know, I didn't want anything to catch me off guards. And I know with insurance companies, sometimes they won't do it, but because those family members were so close to me, you know, as far as being an uncle, being a father, and then my other uncle so close, like they then allowed me to have a colonoscopy. So I don't know, maybe you need to go talk to your doctor. Maybe you need to, you know, flip the script. Maybe I ain't telling you to lie, but maybe you might need to arrange a story to where, you know, yeah, if your insurance isn't won't allow you until you at 50, I think it's like 52, I think it's over 50 when you're supposed to get looked at a colonoscopy, man. It's just so much stuff in our food these days that we eat and so many chemicals and everything, man. Like it's better safe to be sorry. So I think that when we're looking at his death, I think one of the things we got to take out of it is health. I think we have to go to your doctors, get your checkups. You know, I'm not telling you take medications or whatever. What I'm saying is you need to go find out if you have any ailments, whatever those issues are, and then from there deal with that accordingly. Whether you go natural, whether you take medication, whatever it is that you do, but health has to be one of the main things that we look at, especially with all this other stuff going on. I know it's easy to lose focus, but I think one of the things is definitely go get a colonoscopy, definitely go get your body checked out and make sure um, cancer or whatever kind of sickness is not within you, because we know cancer is it's number one out there. It's one of the number one things out there that's killing people. It's also number one that's killing people in our community. So get your health checked out, man. Get your health checked out.
Health is wealth, fellas. Health is wealth.
Yeah. We're gonna wrap it up, man. John, you got anything last thing to say, man?
Nah, just like I said, I appreciate all our listeners, followers. You know, go to our Instagram. Everything will be below in the link. Go to our Instagram. Go to our Facebook. Go to our Twitter. Follow us. You know what I mean? We appreciate all the support, and we got these nice shirts right now, and we got them in black and gray. So y'all hit us up. We'll be posting these on Instagram, Facebook, all social media links. So just hit us up. You know, we'll definitely, like I said, we appreciate the support in advance on the shirts. More merchandise coming. But you know, that's all I got.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell y'all too something. Anybody know me know, like I'm kind of, I ain't gonna say bougie, man. I like certain shirts to feel a certain kind of way, man. So just let you know, our product is gonna feel a certain kind of way. Like it's gonna be the athletic fit, it's gonna be the soft, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be the table arms, it's gonna be the athletic fit, it's gonna be the soft material, man. Like that's just kind of how I personally like my t-shirts. So we wanted to give y'all something that we wear, not just some random t-shirt that we just go get that's cheap. So definitely, man, please check out the merch. We got more merch coming. Support your boys, man. Appreciate y'all, all listeners, and we out.
All right, we out.